Hi everybody, this is Nettie, and today I'd like to share some items that come across my Facebook page, and one of them is about British soldiers turning in their medals and their military hats and their papers of agreement. I'm not sure what they're called really. But when they joined the military, some as young as 15 years old. Well, these soldiers are throwing them down on the street in front of what appears to be mainly Parliament, saying that they no longer support the militarization of their country. These soldiers say, they went into other countries and they killed their citizens, and they just don't want to do that no more. And they talk about going into Iraq and other countries, but they specifically name Iraq. And I'll tell you what, watching this video, and it's called I'm Proud to Be British, this particular video is anyway, and it's a little bit older. It's dated September 29. But I got to say that watching this video brought tears to my eyes. And, several comments on this video, one being from Nancy that says, "May there be an echo all over the world." And then Stephanie put in that today we salute the anonymous army as they march into Washington, D.C., standing in solidarity for the Million Mask March. And there's an article, and it's at www.rt.com, Million Mask March. Anonymous readies for global day of action in over 650 cities. Tens of thousands of activists disguised as Guy Fawkes are expected to flood streets of over 671 cities as the anonymous-led Million Mask March sweeps the globe. The hacktivist group and its followers will protest censorship, corruption, war, and poverty. For the fourth year in a row, the Anonymous Army, as the group likes to call its activists, will rise up and take part in rallies and protests from Sydney to Los Angeles and Johannesburg to London. Hiding their faces behind stylized anonymous masks, popularized by the V for Vendetta movie, they will come forward to make their voices heard. The Million Mask March is also about letting various governments know that the free flow of information will never be stopped. We now face a dilemma unfamiliar to any previous human civilization. We face this dilemma not simply as a community, nor a nation, rather collectively as a planet. We have something no previous generation has ever had, the Internet. Anonymous said in its 2015 promo video for the Million Mask March. Social media has been their major megaphone, calling on people to unite in a global move. Anonymous started trends on Twitter such as hashmark MMM and hashmark MMM in 2015, hashmark Million Mask March, and hashmark November 5th, that are now full of slogans and pictures. Just like last year, London expects one of the most massive marches on its streets. According to the demonstrations page on Facebook, 18,000 people are going to join the anonymous-inspired march. The government and the 1% have played their hand, and now it's time to play ours, a Facebook statement reads. This year's dress code for London's Million Mask March calls for white judicial wigs, black robes, and anonymous mask for order of public court. And there's a flyer, what it looks like. London Anonymous invites you November 5th, 2015, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. at the Ecuadorian Embassy. It gives the address, and it says, Alas, let us free Robin Hood and the children once and for all. Activists will start gathering by the Ecuadorian Embassy to free Robin Hood. And that says Julian Assange. Okay, the Metropolitan Police are bracing for 2015's Million Mask March with thousands of extra police. Law enforcement will be on standby in case activists attack businesses or cause damage to property. Potential targets have been warned. The 2014 Million Mask March in London was marked by scuffles between activists and police. Meanwhile, in Washington, the Million Mask March is expected to be attended by 25,000 people, according to Facebook numbers of going at the time of publication. Activists plan to march by the Washington Monument not far from the Capitol building and march towards the White House. They're going to be protesting a wide range of issues, including police brutality, the Second Amendment, and major corruption in every government, to name a few, while rallying for freedom. Similar marches are expected in New York, Philadelphia, Texas, Florida, and California, and several other states. In Germany, people in Berlin and Dusseldorf have been invited to peaceful Million Mask Marches for peace, freedom, and justice. It is no longer just about the freedom on the internet. No, no, no. It's about the freedom of the human race. Let us work together for freedom, justice, and brotherhood by protesting, a statement translated from German says. Established in the early 2000s, Anonymous has gained notoriety for acts of protest, both online and in the streets. The hacktivists have used the Guy Fawkes mask as a symbol of their anonymity since 2008. The group chose November 5, known in the UK as Guy Fawkes Day or Bonfire Night, as its annual day for holding the global-wide demonstration dubbed the Million Mask March. Remember the 5th of November has become Anonymous' rallying cry. And here's another flyer that says, this year you are invited to stand against censorship, tyranny, corruption, war, and poverty. We will unite around the globe on November 5th to let governments know they will never stop the free flow of information on the internet. Okay, that's the end of that article. Although there are lots of comments. You know, they call them hacktivists as well, and I know that they have been hacking some systems, and I know there's a lot of cyber wars going on, and I don't know who's behind all that, but I'll tell you, if you're taking down the internet guys, then you're not promoting free internet access, and you're not promoting access to information by the public. So if you're looking at, I can't remember, I know it's got Norse, N-O-R-S-E, in the URL that shows a lot of these cyber wars. And as I say, I don't know who's doing what to whom. I just know that it shows an awful lot of activity. So, you want to be careful. And I also know that we at Wolf Spirit Radio have had some issues with our site being somehow, it wasn't taken down per se, but our chat room and our listen page was taken down and had to be, well, right now we got a temporary one up while our owner, JP, is building it back up. And I know that our servers also went down, both of our servers, for our stream. And this all happened about the same time, on the same day. So something is hacking us, someone is hacking us, it appears, 'cause we use two different types of programs to run our site. And both of them was all screwy, so I don't know what the heck happened there. And I just know that it's a royal pain in the, well, it's inconvenient, I'll say that. Alrighty, on to something a little bit better news. Although, you know, I got to say that these anonymous groups that are out there, it'd be nice if they could do it and not be anonymous. However, with, you know, the national security, NSA, and all that kind of bull crap, you know, you got to be careful out there, because, you know, they've passed these laws now that they can arrest you and hold you indefinitely, never ever charge you for any crimes or anything, and not tell your family anything, that they got you where you are, nothing. So that don't seem right. That, matter of fact, seems very, very wrong to me. So some people are saying, well, you know, take your masks off. Well, that'd be great if we could do that. But a lot of us, you know, we spend so much time making sure that our security on our systems are at the very, very latest. Well, a lot of people do. And we create all these alias names and all that kind of thing, and we're so worried about everything we say, everything we post, all the pictures we put up there and all that kind of stuff. Oh my goodness, they can see everything. Well, yeah, they can. And my opinion is, well, if you're afraid to speak, then you probably ought not speak. But if you're afraid, then you're letting them win, because they've let your fear overcome what you know is right. So, and I've had people ask me, aren't you scared to say some of the things you say? Well, no, I'm not. You know, I'm a grandma, and I've spent my life taking care of my children and my grandchildren, and everybody else, really, because most all my jobs have been in serving people in one way or another, feeding them, and making sure they're comfortable and having a good time and all that kind of stuff. And I've worked in sales, so, you know, that's customer relations. And I think that there are times when you got to overcome that fear, 'cause all fear does is keeps you from being who you are and speaking your voice. 'Cause we all have opinions, you know, we do. And if you're afraid to speak your opinion, then you've let someone else have power over you. And you can't have much of a life if you're leading your life according to somebody else's whims, somebody else's dictations of who you should be and how you should be and what you should be and how you look. You know, there are certain guidelines that one needs to observe in order to get along in society, but I don't think knuckling under is one of those. I think we need to have a society where people can be who they are. You don't have to dress like everybody else. You don't have to look like everybody else. Society tries to tell us, especially us women, what we need to look like. We need to be tall. We need to be slender. We need to have big breasts. We need to have full lips. We need to look young, so women spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars getting facelifts, getting cheek implants, getting chin implants, and all that kind of stuff. Like they're ashamed to be who they are, trying to look like Barbie dolls and stuff. And some of these, these surgeries go wrong, and these poor women who are trying to be more beautiful and more young end up looking very grotesque. And that's sad. All the things we go through, all the money we spend trying to look like what society tells us we got to look like. And I'm going to tell you all, girls, that's all bull. Be yourself. Love yourself. Be comfortable with yourself. I know it takes a while to learn all that, but, it's time that we start telling our young girls, be yourself. You're beautiful just the way you are. Anyway, I'm going to get off that subject and go to another article. This is from 5dnews.com. Remarkable evidence of dream telepathy between people. This is dated November 4, 2015. Dream telepathy suggests that human beings have the ability to communicate telepathically with another person while they are dreaming. This isn't a new concept. Scientific interest in telepathy dates back to the fathers of the psychoanalytic movement. Freud, for example, looked at the implications of telepathy on psychoanalytic thought. He also considered dream telepathy, or the telepathic influence of thought on dreaming, on multiple occasions, and Carl Jung believed in the telepathic hypothesis without question, and even developed a theoretical system to explain, in air quotes, paranormal events of this nature. It seems that all great minds encourage the study of various types of non-physical phenomenon. And now there's a little input here. The day science begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in one decade than in all the previous centuries of its existence. And that was said by Nikola Tesla. According to Stanley Krippner, Ph.D. and professor of psychology at Saybrook University in California, a wealth of anecdotal and clinical material exists which supports the possibility of telepathic effects occurring in dreams. Krippner said that in 1974. However, an experimental approach to the topic did not become possible until psychophysiological laboratory technology became available. It was discovered that sleeping research participants awakened from periods of rapid eye movement, or REM, activity were frequently able to recall their dream episodes. As a result, it was possible to request a telepathic receiver to attempt dreaming about a target stimulus that was being focused on in a distant location from a telepathic sender. Experiments and results. In the mid-1960s, Montague Allman, M.D., began a number of experiments on Maimonides Medical Center in Brooklyn, and I'm not sure I pronounced that right. It's Maimonides, so maybe it's Maimonides, I'm not sure. Anyway, in New York, to test the hypothesis that people could be primed to dream about randomly selected material. In other words, they could choose what they wanted to dream about before going to sleep. And this could include anything from artwork to movies to photographs and more. Shortly after these experiments began, Allman was joined by Stanley Krippner, who has a very impressive background in the scientific study of dreams, psychology, and parapsychology. The experiments they conducted lasted a span of more than 10 years and yielded statistically significant results. During the experiments, there was usually a telepathic sender and a telepathic receiver. They met in the laboratory for a short period of time before being placed in completely separate rooms just before going to sleep. The telepathic sender had an envelope waiting for him in the room in which they'd sleep. It would contain something like a picture or a drawing, and the receivers were then purposely awakened shortly after rapid eye movement sleep began so the researchers could take a dream report. A very significant session. One very memorable and significant session of dream telepathy experimentation took place where the selected art print was School of Dance by Edgar Degas, which depicts several young women in a dance class. According to Krippner, the receiver's dream reports included such phrases as, "I was in dance class, made up of maybe half a dozen people. It felt like a school," and "There was one little girl that was trying to dance with me." These results are fascinating, and the idea that one can influence another's dream opens up a lot of doors, especially for the government. Although we might not understand the process behind the transfer of information, and we can't see this transfer take place from mind to mind, we do have proof of it occurring. This is quite common when we examine scientific studies that have evaluated parapsychological phenomena. We know what is happening, but not how. Another significant session conducted by Krippner and Allman took place on March 15, 1970. In this session, a large group of people at the Holy Modal Rounders rock concert was selected to send us something telepathically. A local media artist by the name of Jean Millay took responsibility to ready the telepathic senders for target preparation. Well, she did this with help from the Lid Light Company, a group of artists who were responsible for the light show at the concert. Millay gave the audience a brief verbal set of directions before the image was flashed on the large screen that the telepathic sender was looking at. 6 slide projectors were used to project a color film about eagles and their nesting habits, as well as information about various birds from around the world, including birds from mythology like the phoenix. This all happened at the same time that Holy Modal Rounders was playing their song, "If You Want to Be a Bird." There were 5 volunteer telepathic receivers for this experiment, and they were all located within a 100-mile radius from the telepathic senders. All of the receivers were aware of the concert location and were told to record their images at midnight, because that was when the material would be sent to them. And according to Krippner, one telepathic receiver, Helen Andrews, had the impression of something mythological, like a griffin or a phoenix. The second, third, and fourth research participants reported images of a snake, grapes, and an embryo in flames. The fifth participant was Richie Havens, who, the celebrated American singer and recording artist, who reports closing his eyes at midnight and visualizing a number of seagulls flying over water. Both Mr. Havens and Ms. Andrews' reports represented direct correspondences with the target material. More remarkable results were seen when the rock group Grateful Dead also volunteered to participate in a dream telepathy session over a span of 6 nights. You can read more about that and other results here. These results were actually published by the American Psychological Association. These are usually the instructions given to subjects who participate in these experiments. You're about to participate in an ESP experiment. In a few seconds, you will see a picture. Try using your USB to send this picture to the receiver. The receiver will try to dream about this picture. Try to send it to him. Then, receivers will be made aware of the sender's location. Now, as to possible explanations. Quantum physics has shed light on the vast interconnectedness of everything in the universe. One possible explanation is quantum entanglement. For example, consider 2 electrons that are created together. If you send one to the other side of the universe, the other one will respond instantly, regardless of their distance from each other. This is one way of interpreting how everything is really connected in some way. Einstein called it spooky actions at a distance. For a great visual demonstration of this, click here. And again, this is 5dnews.com. And they do have links to their sources and a bit more additional information. And we may go back and look at that when I finish this article. I haven't decided yet. So, let's take a look. The truth of the matter is that we have no way to explain how this works. The researchers involved were only able to observe and record what was taking place, which is, again, very common for parapsychological phenomenon. At the same time, these experiments involve dreams, a completely different and altered state of quote-unquote reality that we really don't know much about. It's a world separate, or at least we think it's separate, from the world in which we are awake, although, of course, the world we perceive when we're awake could very well be just a dream. But that is a subject for another article. Very interesting there. Parapsychological phenomenon have been proven and documented all over the world. Parapsychological PSI phenomenon have been studied, documented, observed, and proven over and over again by a number of renowned scientists in laboratories all over the world. This Department of Defense has had a huge interest in this subject and has studied it for a number of years. Yet the scientific study of it is concealed from the public and left out of universities and mainstream science, which is not fair, and it's not right. Because, if they're using it for warfare and for controlling people. Yes, they are. It isn't as though this information is inaccessible to us. Some of this documentation and these publications are available in the public domain. CE has covered these in depth, and the link below will take you to where you want to go, to an article that is well sourced with lots of information. There are more examples on our website, so if this sparks your interest, feel free to browse through it and look for more. And then there's a list of sources. One is at scicnet.apa.org and OCSciC at JammerNetwork.com. And then there's one on Stanley Krippner and neuroquantology. So there's lots of different sources down here if you want to check this out in more depth. Alrighty, I am going to click on the link for a visual demonstration, although of course it won't be visual to you, but it is a YouTube video. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. It's only a little over a minute long, so I'll let you listen to that.
Then entanglement crushes our experience of space. Two objects, two electrons created together, are entangled. Send one to the other side of the universe. Now, do something to one, and the other responds instantly. So, either information is traveling infinitely fast, or, in reality, they are still connected. They are entangled. And, since everything was entangled at the moment of the Big Bang, that means everything is still touching. Space is just the construct that gives the illusion that there are separate objects. Are we far enough down the rabbit hole yet?
Well, I thought that was quite interesting. And of course it's done in somewhat of a cartoon. Well, not somewhat, but it is done in cartoon. So it would appeal to children. But it still is a very interesting and fascinating theory, I think, that if everything was indeed created at the same time, we are all still very much connected. Interesting. Well, let's see. Here's one from higherperspectives.com. The medical use of marijuana is no secret. It can be used to treat a number of ailments, chronic and short-term. According to a groundbreaking new medical study of 30 patients with ADHD, all 30 reported improved concentration and sleep, as well as reduced impulsivity after using medicinal cannabis. These 30 patients all reported having limited success with conventional treatments like Ritalin and Adderall. 22 of the 30 patients opted to forego their previously prescribed medications and use marijuana to manage their symptoms instead. It's a small sample group, yet it's incredibly positive development. Cannabis appears to treat ADHD and ADD by increasing the availability of dopamine, said Dr. David Behrman, a cannabinoidologist. This then has the same effect, but is a different mechanism of action than stimulants like Ritalin and dexedrine amphetamine, which act by binding to the dopamine and interfering with the metabolic breakdown of dopamine. Basically, cannabinoids in marijuana might correct dopamine shortages in the brain that's seen with people who have ADHD. Right now, Colorado and California are the only two states that allow prescription of medicinal marijuana to treat ADHD. With any luck, more studies like this will move more states to allow treatment. Well, I'd much rather see people ingesting marijuana than those damn pills. Seems to me, and I've seen it myself. A lot of those people, especially the young people on those pills, man, it's almost like they're zombies, I swear it is. Dry lips, to the point of chafing and bleeding, dull look in the eyes, mouth hanging open. I've seen it. It's heartbreaking, it really, really is. And I've heard some, because you know I'm not a doctor or anything, I've heard some call me an outsider, 'cause you know I just don't understand. Well, I'm here to tell you I do understand. And I understand what the heck you've been doing to our children. And not even only our children, but our young adults and such. And, I know you all are trained to give a pill, but I think you have to do a little more studying on your own and find out exactly what the side effects are, and you weigh what's the best thing for your patient. Because after all you doctors out there have sworn the Hippocratic Oath. Now, the Hippocratic Oath is an oath historically taken by physicians. It is one of the most widely known of Greek medical texts. In its original form, it requires a new physician to swear by a number of healing gods to uphold specific ethical standards. Of historic and traditional value, the oath is considered a rite of passage for practitioners of medicine in many countries, although nowadays various modern versions are often used. Hippocrates is often called the father of medicine in Western culture. The original oath was written in Ionic Greek. In the late 5th century BCE, it is usually included in the Hippocratic corpus. Now, scholars widely believe that Hippocrates and one of his students wrote the oath between the 5th and 3rd centuries BC. Alternatively, classic scholar Ludwig Edelstein proposed that the oath was written by the Pythagoreans, an idea that others questioned for lack of evidence for a school of Pythagorean medicine. Okay, the original oath, of course, here it's written in Greek, and I'm scrolling down to see if I can see. Now, this is said to be the original. Well, of course, it's translated, but here we go. I swear by Apollo, the physician, and Asclepius, the surgeon, likewise Hygeia and Panacea, and call all the gods and goddesses to witness, that I will observe and keep this underwritten oath to the utmost of my power and judgment. I will reverence my master who taught me the art. Equally with my parents will I allow him things necessary for his support, and will consider his sons as brothers. I will teach them my art without reward or agreement, and I will impart all my acquirement, instructions, and whatever I know to my master's children, as to my own and likewise to my pupils, who shall bind themselves and tie themselves by my professional oath, but to no one else. With regard to healing the sick, I will devise and order for them the best diet, according to my judgment and means, and I will take care that they suffer no hurt or damage. Nor shall any man's entreaty prevail upon me to administer poison to anyone, neither will I counsel any man to do so. Moreover, I will give no sort of medicine to any pregnant woman with a view to destroy the child. Further, I will comport myself and use my knowledge in a godly manner. I will not cut for the stone, but will commit that affair entirely to the surgeons. Whatsoever house I may enter, my visit shall be for the convenience and advantage of the patient, and I will willingly refrain from doing any injury or wrong from falsehood, and in an especial manner from acts of an amorous nature, whatever may be the rank of those who it may be my duty to cure, whether mistress or servant, bond or free. Whatever is the course of my practice, I may see or hear, even when not invited, whatever I may happen to obtain knowledge of, if it be not proper to repeat it, I will keep sacred and secret within my own breast. If I faithfully observe this oath, may I thrive and prosper in my fortune and profession, and live in the estimation of posterity, or on breach thereof, may the reverse be my fate. Okay, now here's the modern version. I swear to fulfill to the best of my ability and judgment this covenant. I will respect the hard-won scientific gains of those physicians in whose steps I walk, and gladly share such knowledge as is mine with those who are to follow. I will apply for the benefit of the sick all measures which are required, avoiding those twin traps of entreatment and therapeutic nihilism. I will remember that there is art to medicine as well as science, and that warmth, sympathy, and understanding may outweigh the surgeon's knife or the chemist's drug. I will not be ashamed to say I know not, nor will I fail to call in my colleagues when the skills of another are needed for a patient's recovery. I will respect the privacy of my patients, for their problems are not disclosed to me that the world may know. Most especially must I tread with care in matters of life and death. If it is given me to save a life, all thanks. But it may also be written my power to take a life. This awesome responsibility must be faced with great humility and awareness of my own frailty. Above all, I must not play at God. I will remember that I do not treat a fever chart, a cancerous growth, but a sick human being, whose illness may affect the person's family and economic stability. My responsibility includes these related problems. If I am to care adequately for the sick, I will prevent disease wherever I can, for prevention is preferable to cure. I will remember that I do not treat a fever chart, a cancerous growth, but a sick human being, whose illness may affect the person's family and economic stability. My responsibility includes those related problems if I am to care adequately for the sick. I will prevent disease wherever I can, for prevention is preferable to cure. I will remember that I remain a member of society, with special obligations to all of my fellow human beings, those sound of mind and body, as well as the infirm. If I do not violate this oath, may I enjoy life and art, respected while I live and remembered with affection thereafter. May I always act so as to preserve the finest traditions of my calling, and may I long experience the joy of healing those who seek my help. Written in 1964 by Louis Lasagna, Academic Dean of the School of Medicine at Tufts University, and used in many medical schools today. First, do no harm. It is a popular misconception that the phrase, first do no harm, in Latin is primum non nocere, is a part of the Hippocratic Oath. Strictly speaking, the phrase does not appear in the oath, although the oath does contain, also I will, according to my ability and judgment, prescribe a regimen for the health of the sick. But I will utterly reject harm and mischief. In Latin, victus quoque rotanum ad agrotantium salutum pro facultate judicique mio adhibibo noxam vero et malficirum propulsabo. Don't think I could say that again. It was hard reading it the way it was. Another equivalent phrase is found in Epidemics, Book 1 of the Hippocratic School. Practice two things in your dealings with disease: either help or do no harm the patient. The exact phrase is believed to have originated with the 19th century surgeon Thomas Inman, and this article, found at wikipedia.org, says that this oath has been modified numerous times, and I'm not going to go ahead and read all that other stuff. But down at the bottom it says, breaking the Hippocratic Oath. There's no direct punishment for breaking the Hippocratic Oath in modern times. It can be said that malpractice is the same thing, and it carries a wide range of punishments from legal action to civil penalties. In the U.S., several major judicial decisions have made reference back to the classic Hippocratic Oath, either upholding or dismissing its bounds for medical ethics, such as Roe v. Wade and Washington v. Harper, Compassion in Dying v. State of Washington in 1996, and Thorburn v. the Department of Corrections in 1998. In antiquity, the punishment for breaking the Hippocratic Oath could range from a penalty to losing the right to practice medicine. And I think today some of those ought to be even harsher. 'Cause, I reckon I ought to just be quiet on that right now. Now, it seems that Mexico's Supreme Court has decided that individuals have the right to use marijuana and to grow it for their personal use. So I'm going to open up that, okay, and this is www.drugpolicy.org news. Mexico's Supreme Court declares individuals have the right to consume and cultivate marijuana. Landmark case could pave the way for marijuana legalization. Today, in a 4-1 vote, Mexico's Supreme Court ruled that the prohibition of the consumption and cultivation of marijuana for personal use is unconstitutional. The court determined that the prohibition of the consumption of marijuana and its cultivation for non-commercial ends violates the human right to the free development of one's personality. The landmark case could lead to the legislation of marijuana for recreational purposes if followed up with legislation. This vote by Mexico's Supreme Court is extraordinary for two reasons. It is being argued on human rights grounds, and it is taking place in one of the countries that has suffered the most from the war on drugs, said Hannah Hetzer, Senior Policy Manager of the Americas on the Drug Policy Alliance. Uruguay become the first country to legalize marijuana. Canada is expected soon to follow suit. Medical marijuana initiates are spreading throughout Latin America and the Caribbean, and marijuana is legal in a number of U.S. states. Now, with this landmark decision out of Mexico, it's clear that the Americas are leading the world in marijuana reform. The public debate on marijuana has surged in Mexico in recent months since the case of an 8-year-old girl with epilepsy, who became Mexico's first medical marijuana patient, made national and international headlines. The government granted the right to import and administer a cannabis-based treatment for the young patient. Marijuana reform has gained unprecedented momentum throughout the Americas. In the United States, Colorado, Washington, Alaska, Oregon, and Washington, D.C. have legalized marijuana for adults. In December 2013, Uruguay became the first country in the world to legally regulate marijuana. In Canada, the new Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, and his Liberal Party have promised to legalize marijuana. There are currently medical marijuana legislation bills being debated in Brazil, Chile, Colombia, and Costa Rica, and Mexico. Well, we'll see what Mr. Trudeau does, 'cause you know, a lot of these people promise an awful lot and deliver, well, let's just say they deliver a little bit less than what they promised. Anyway, here in the United States, it looks like, on BernieSanders.com, that it says, sign the petition, let the states make marijuana legal. Someone in the United States is arrested every minute on marijuana charges. Too many Americans have seen their lives destroyed because they have criminal records as a result of marijuana use. That's wrong, and that's got to change. Bernie favors removing marijuana from the list of controlled substances, hallelujah, regulated by federal law. Okay, it doesn't say hallelujah, I just threw that one in. Under Bernie's proposal, people in the states which legalize marijuana no longer would be subject to federal prosecution for using pot. Owners of stores that sell marijuana could fully participate in the banking system like any other business. States which want to regulate marijuana would remain free to do so, the same way local laws now govern sales of alcohol and tobacco. Bernie could continue to allow federal law enforcement officials to arrest and prosecute drug dealers for trafficking in marijuana sales. Well, in my opinion, we don't want to make it legal. We want to reclassify it back to what it used to be, a plant. A very beneficial plant, that if it was reclassified and we could grow it ourselves and consume it, either ingest it, eating it, or make it into drinks or something like that other than smoking it, 'cause smoking it's not going to be all that good. I mean, it's good for you for a whole lot of reasons, as a smoker, but it's better for you if you're, say, making brownies with it, or cookies, or you don't want to cook it, or making just a tea. I've heard of people making tea. I've never had it myself, but I've heard of people making tea out of it, and I think it'd be just a whole lot better. Just make it a plant. That way there's no control over it, lot less chance of it being tampered with by like Monsanto and all. Well, I used to call them Monsatan, 'cause I think that if you're allowed to grow it the way you want it grown, not without all the pesticide and, without all the pesticides and without all the other stuff that they put on them or put in them and, genetically modifying it so that it's a whole lot different. I think people ought to be able to grow it. It is a beautiful plant, and it actually does help even the soil that it grows in. So, I'd like to see him just reclassified. He said Bernie says that he'd like to see it, taken off of the, controlled substance list. Well, I think that'd be a good thing, but I think also, let's just reclassify it and leave it alone. Let people grow it if they want to, cause nobody gonna be forcing anybody to, here, hit this thing. That ain't gonna happen. And besides, if you make it so you can grow your own, gonna be a whole lot less, criminal activity around this. Guess I'll have to find something else. Like water or something. Shoot. Okay, I'll be quiet for now, and I guess that's about the end of Nettie's place today. So, I hope y'all enjoy this, information I brought to you today with the help of my friends on Facebook and such, leading me to such good information. So, I will let y'all go. Thanks for listening. See y'all later. Bye now.